Sam Webb here, special edition of the Michigan Insider, live from spring practice, the last spring practice before the spring game, and joined by Michigan defensive coordinator Greg Mattison. So, Matty, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a good spring. Really exciting to see the guys, the way they're playing, the way they're trying to do everything we're asking them to do, and I love the attitude of this defense right now, and they come out with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy, and have really tried to improve every day.
All right, so Coach, explain to us and also certainly the fans why and how it's beneficial for to be in the middle of the defense now, coaching the linebackers.
Well, I've always, or most of my career, when I've coordinated, I've always been with the linebackers, and when you're in the middle, you see everything that's going on. You see the front, especially when you're coaching linebackers, you know how well the front's playing in front of you because your backers are free and they're getting to the football. On the back end, you're always watching the pass coverage because your guys are involved in the pass coverage. And when you coach the defensive line, you kind of have to get that all off of film. Mm-hmm. And the other part of it that has always been beneficial, being a coordinator from the linebacker position, there's things in games that a coordinator wants to make changes. He wants to do subtle things that, this blitz, let's run it this way. And when you're talking to the guys who are running it, they can do it easily without all kinds of other people having to change. When you're a defensive line coach, you got to tell the linebackers, now do this, and you're not with them every day, mm-hmm. and you're speaking a different language sometimes, and so it's so beneficial that way when you're in the middle.
Gotcha. All right, so it's not just you changing to the middle, it's Jake Ryan sliding from the outside to the middle. So what has his transition been like? And I know it's just the spring, but what is his movement to the defense? Well,
the first thing is he's made the transition very easily. He hasn't played linebacker, I don't think, since his senior year in high school, although we had him at times in there when he was blitzing and things like that. He is now a full-time linebacker, and every single day he improves on something. And the biggest thing for a linebacker that he's figuring out is it's seeing the plays over and over again. And I remember Ray Lewis saying this all the time. He studied more film than the coaches did. So he would know exactly what play was coming before it was coming. And this spring, we've had that happen a couple of times. It really excites me, where Joe Bolden and Jake would be pointing to, hey, here it is, it's right here. When you see that, now you know the guys are studying film. Now you know the guys are being generals on the field, and that's what great linebackers are. They can't just do their job. They got to make sure everybody else has a chance to play their position as well as they can.
All right, so he slides to the inside. James Ross slides to the outside. Now, talk about his transition there. And again, it's a little counterintuitive to a lot of people outside of your building why James Ross could thrive at the Sam position, based on how you guys run your defense as opposed to what people expect the Sam to look like.
Well, the thing that happens with the Sam linebacker, he's outside of a lot of the bigger people. And James is an outstanding football player, but he's 5'11", and linemen he's going against are 6'4", 6'5", and it gets hard to find that football in there sometimes when you can't see over guys or when things are coming at you that are bigger than you all the time. Outside, he sees it. James is a very intelligent football player, and he's got great speed, and it allows him to make that transition. The other thing that's helped him, he will always be an inside linebacker in the mix in our nickel package, and the way football is going nowadays, you're in nickel or sub package a lot more than you're in regular. And that was another thought that we had, that Jake Ryan, being an outside guy, they can run away from him a lot. And in sub, he moved to being a pass rusher, where now being a linebacker, he's on the field the entire time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, so the competition at each spot, obviously we know about Jake at Mike, we know about James Ross at Sam. Who are the guys that are also competing at those, in the thick of those positions as far as getting on the field? And the same thing at the will spot.
Well, Desmond Morgan has been a starter for us, and is an outstanding football player. Des is working very hard. He's right in the mix. Ben Gideon has picked up right from where he left off. He's making great strides every day in practice. And Mike McCray is another young man that now he's healthy. He's fully recovered from his shoulder when he came in here. He's a year older, and I think you're going to see some good things from him also.
Is it strictly the Mike for Mike?
Yeah, Mike is playing the Mike linebacker, where Ben and Dez can play both the Will and the Mike because they've got a lot of experience. So in the inside linebacker positions, when you put James Ross in there also, when you're in sub, you've got pretty good depth of a lot of guys who have played. So there's a lot of competition there.
Coach, before we talk about the women's and men's academies that are coming up, I want you to touch on something that you have in your press conferences, and you even said this last season. As the season went on, you said, hey, I want to see some more aggression, from the corners. I want to see some more aggression up front. We're going to try to attack more. It didn't always work out that way because you got to be able to execute those things. Now that you're in the spring and you've been talking about it more, are you seeing that aggression? Are you able to implement the kind of aggression that you were talking about before?
Yes, definitely. And that's another part of being in the middle as a linebacker coach when you're coordinating. You know my belief in pressure, and I love the pressure. Pressuring is only as good as a guy beating somebody one-on-one, and we've worked very hard on that. And our guys, I think, would be able to tell you, if you ask them right now, when they run a blitz, if they get blocked one-on-one, that's a bad deal. Only thing a blitz does is put you one-on-one. And our guys have worked very hard on blitz technique. A lot of times you say, well, let's draw up a blitz and let's run it. It's no different than playing a block. You have to practice it. And we've done a lot of practicing of our pressures. Our corners are equally important in our pressures. You can't play off and think that when you're going to pressure, the ball's going to come out quick. You better be on them really heavy. And our guys have done a good job of that. Roy's done a really good job working with the guys at the corner position, and they love playing it. I think the thing you're seeing with our guys, they believe in pressure, they like the aggressive attitude, and they're responding to it.
Coach, and kind of last one for you. You mentioned a lot of things that you like about what you've seen thus far defensively. If you can kind of sum up what you have done well, do that. And then what do you really want to see this group, your defense, improve upon heading into the fall?
Well, I think we got to keep playing aggressive. I think, and I haven't mentioned the defensive line, that all starts there. And I think our defensive line has improved a great deal this spring. I mean, it might be the biggest improvement of any position, and you can feel it. That's why our linebackers are playing better at times in the spring too, because the front is doing a good job. And then if our linebackers are getting pressure and getting to the quarterback, then our secondary plays better. So, I think the thing that's got to happen is we've got to keep the same attitude, improve on the techniques that make that attitude be successful. And those are all things that you can do in the summer. And I really believe at what I've seen this spring that this group of guys will do what they have to do this summer, and it remains to be seen, but I believe they will, and I'm looking forward to this fall.
Yeah, you're coaching your guys up, and you coach them up just like you coach the fans up in the academies, just like you coach your players up. So when the women come by your station in the women's academy and the men come by your station in the men's experience, what can they expect when Coach Mattison is coaching them?
Well, they better come ready to go, because we're not going to waste their time. We're going to get them to be better football players, I'll tell you that.